Good afternoon. Welcome to my workshop. My name is Dick Gerard. I'm here to show you today how I turn a tool handle to fit the kits that come from Craft Supply USA. These handles will fit the pizza cutter, the ice cream scoop, the bottle opener, and the vegetable peeler. They will not fit the cheese plane. Those take different type. We're going to start with a 2x2 blank, 2x2 blank, 6 inches long roughly, and using a center finder and a pencil, I run 4 marks corner to corner, all 4 corners, both ends. I use an awl to put a little dimple right there in the middle. Same thing on the opposite end. On the opposite end, then I also drill a 5/16 inch hole slightly deeper than the threaded insert that goes in there. To make those threads, I chuck up appropriate tap into my power drill, tap in, tap out. It's that simple. For really secure threads, you will saturate those threads with super glue and run your tap in again after it's dry, fully dry. You don't want to do it when it's still even slightly unset. You'll gum up the tap and you'll have a heck of a mess. Now the tools I'm going to use should be familiar to everybody, but just in case you're not, we'll go back to number 1 here. This is my spindle roughing gouge. I've had it for 35 years. After about the first 6 months of use, the tang worked loose from the handle, so I filled it with epoxy, let it set overnight. It's rock solid, no vibration, no nothing. Then I'll move on to a skew, and on this end I'll use a planing cut to pare down, give me some working room. Then it's on to my favorite tool supplier, Doug Thompson of Thompson Tools, and this is a spindle gouge, and I'll be rounding off this end and putting what might be called a bevel on this end. And the reason I do that is if you think of the handle as being attached to a knife, you want a hilt or a guard to keep your hand from sliding up onto the sharp edge of the tool. And so that's what this is all for. This and this cove in here, just a well for your fingers to go into, and so that takes care of that. Then I'll be going back to the skew to finish the shape. I wear a face shield at all times, safety first. You only have one set of eyes, one set of ears. You don't want to lose anything there. For this production, I'll be using my face shield, but I'll flip it up when I'm talking so that you can hear what I'm saying. And I've got a headset that I can wear, but I haven't figured out all the settings on it yet, so I'm just going to use this and let the camera pick up the audio. So go back to the overhead view, and let's insert the hope you can all see that. And without further ado, let's get started. Let's put a little power to this puppy. Now the skew chisel for a little planing cut. Be careful you don't run into the threads on your tailstock. Now my Doug Thompson spindle gouge. Start the rounding over process. And then on this end, that bevel I told you about, and I take, there's a spacer on this mandrel. Again, available from Craft Supplies USA. Take your time, you're in no hurry. Bring it down to just where it meets the mandrel. And the tool that I didn't mention before is this tool, and that's the Carter Axe, A-X-E, with a round carbide cutter. And this is what I use to conveniently make this cove. And now everybody's favorite tool, the skew. And this is a skew from D-Way Tools out, I believe, in Oregon or Washington. And with this, I'm going to first clean up that little flat. This design is a design I've worked out over several years. I had a lot of feedback from prior customers about I was making too small, too skinny. Please make them bigger so that their arthritic hands or hands with carpal tunnel could handle it better. So that's what I did, and this is what I've come up with. I've made over the last 15 years thousands of these handles, and they sell quite well. And back we go. These first few cuts are stock removal cuts. They're not finesse cuts, so they tend to be quite aggressive. Get out here on this end. Start refining the cut. Now we're ready for some preliminary sanding. And by preliminary sanding, I mean if the thread connections here are really good and strong, I'll be able to back off the tailstock so I can sand the whole thing. But to begin with, I just want to get some of the initial sanding done. I start at 180. Get the tool rest out of the way. That sound is the sound of my dust collector, which is sitting over in the corner. I don't have a separate room. sanding discs are conveniently stored on a Velcro strip attached to the front of the lathe. There's a crazy guy out in New Jersey named Alan Zenright who published a hint or a little article in the AEW magazine journal about using these Velcro strips. They work wonderfully. That second grit was 220. This is 280. Between grits, I try to rub my hand over it to remove any remaining grit and to check to make sure there are no splinters. Now on to 320. Now we'll see how good my threads are. Going back to the screw, although you can use a spindle gouge for this. Everything's running nice and true, so I can remove that. Now let's check it out and see if it passes inspection. I'd like to have that, there's a few little places there that I'd like to have a little smoother, so I'm going to start it back up. Because this is basically plywood, it comes from Cousineau Wood Products. It's called Spectra Ply. I believe they're in Maine. Put my 180 back on, so I'm ready to go for my next handle. Put that here on the To finish this off, I will take it to the Beal buffing system. I'll go through all 3 grits. And let's see, what do we have here? Yeah, there we go. So you can see in the little insert, there's the handle. And excuse me just a minute, I'll go get a I always keep a couple of these threaded inserts on hand just to test fit. And that's going in really nicely. It's snug. And you can see here when that's super glued in, left us after it's been finished. Finish of your choice. I just like to use wax. Use the three buffing compounds from the Beal buffing system, and then glue it in. I let it set upright for 30 minutes or so before I try attaching a head to it. And that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed all this, and there we go. My next video will be probably turning a French style rolling pin, chef style rolling pin, and then maybe a trivet to use on hot plates, protect your counter surfaces. And I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know. I'm going to publish it or post it to Facebook and to YouTube, and if I can figure out how to compress it all into a really short 1 or 2 minute video, I'll put it on Instagram. So thanks again. Stay safe. Keep the bevel rubbing and the chips flying, shavings flying I should say, and thanks again for letting me use up this amount of your time. Bye bye for now.